What if I told you that one of the scariest horror movies of the 2000s didn't just terrify its audience? It redefined what it was to be a found footage film. Oh yeah, we're talking about Record. It's the 2007 one, not the 2009 one. Well, we're gonna go into the 2009 one, but it's the 2007 version. That's the one. That's the one we're talking about.
It is January 24th in the year of our Lord, 1923.
Nothing can stop this demonic force. Even its final remnants will come out. We must run. All we can do.
This horror will not stop until innocence is destroyed. Until evil
So imagine this. It's late night in Barcelona, and Angela Vidal is an ambitious local TV reporter, and she's filming an episode for her show while you're asleep. What's her assignment, though? She's in charge of shadowing a group of firefighters on their overnight shift. Supposed to be routine. Think like quirky interviews and, lighthearted moments and some, good PR for the station and the firefighters, and that, they're good people, they're responsible guys. But when a distress call comes out about an elderly woman trapped in her apartment, the entire crew immediately springs into action, taking Angela and her camera guy, Pablo, very important later. That poor Pablo, dude. That poor Pablo, man. Let me tell you, Pablo, you're the freaking man, dude. Pablo gets no recognition, but we wouldn't be here if not for Pablo. So as the team arrives in a dimly lit apartment building, nothing else feels amiss at first. So everything looks pretty normal. Listen, there's a lady, she's trapped in her apartment. Everything sounds pretty, routine. It's just routine stuff. Remember, this is a horror movie. Things start to turn a little sinister when they find the elderly woman, Mrs. Izquierdo, right, standing in the shadows of her apartment. Okay. By the way, she's not very well dressed for the occasion. Okay, she's not expecting some company, or maybe she is, but just you're the firefighters, you know what I mean? She's a little agitated. She's incoherent. And she's covered in blood. Okay, this is right off the rip. She's covered in blood. Something's wrong, obviously. For me, it's not. It's a typical day for me. But so one of the officers approaches her, and she viciously just wrecks him. Immediately, chaos kicks into high gear. Everybody's screaming. It's, tensions are super high. But while that's happening, the entire building suddenly is sealed off. No explanations, no negotiations, nothing. Just cold. Here are hard orders. Nobody gets out. Nobody. So now trapped inside, Angela and Pablo are forced to just keep rolling the cameras. At least in this case, they have hard evidence, or at least a good story, as everything is happening. So they're just documenting the situation as it just gets worse and worse and worse. So in between all of this, other people live in the building. So the residents are trying to figure out what the hell's happening. So you have families, people that live alone, eccentric loners that just are in their homes. And obviously everybody springs into panic. The old lady that was asking for help in the beginning, her infection now starts spreading like wildfire. Now, one by one, the neighbors start exhibiting signs of the same violent, animalistic behavior. This is no longer just a regular medical emergency. This is full-on survival mode at this point. During this time, the protagonists of the movie, Angela and Pablo, they are basically unwilling narrators to this horror. Right now, it's apparent it's a zombie movie. That's what everybody working on this film wanted it to be. They wanted it to be an actual love letter to George A. Romero's, zombie classics. By the way, did you know that the entire film is actually a real apartment building in Barcelona? This is not a set. This is an actual place. No sound stages, no shortcuts, just raw, unfiltered dread in a place that actually exists. As the movie progresses, you have the film crew, the firefighters, the tenants, literally fighting each floor, and the stakes just continue to get higher. The infection starts to spread faster and faster to the point where escape is just, you can't. They've literally quarantined the outside. There's nowhere to go. I'll let you in on a little secret about Rec. The two directors for this movie, Jaime Balagueró and Paco Plaza, kept the actors completely in the dark about what key things were happening in the plot. Capturing their genuine shock and fear was real time. So those screams, by the way, they're not acting. Not only that, the realism involved in shooting this, when they did, it was all done in real time chronologically. Typically, that's not the case for most movies. You have certain set pieces that are in use. You have certain actors that are available at a certain time, but not in this case. Here, everything was filmed in chronological order. The whole point of this was to make sure that the actors were emotionally and intensely invested in the terror. They had no idea what was happening or what was around the corner. So essentially, this isn't just method acting. This is chaos. And filming it in a fun house, the craziest fun house. Naturally, Angela and Pablo delve deeper into the building. They come to realize this isn't just your standard viral outbreak zombie nonsense. This is something darker. This is something unholy. The source, you're wondering, is an apartment all the way up on the top floor. Its previous tenant was a priest conducting experiments on a young girl believed to be possessed by a demonic entity. As they sift through all the priest's recordings and notes, they realize this isn't just a virus. It's actually not even a virus at all. This is something supernatural. The final act of this movie is just nerve-shredding. If you are not at the edge of your seat in this moment in time, or you probably just turned off the TV at this point because you cannot handle it, I'm pretty sure that if your dog farted at this moment in time in the movie, you would have a heart attack. This is it. This is the big payoff, the big money shot right here. Of course, we are left with Angela and Pablo at the top floor, realizing exactly what the hell this is, what they've been fighting against, and it's down to the camera's night vision. So this is definitely a callback to Silence of the Lambs, the Buffalo Bill section in Silence of the Lambs, where it is, I'm not going to spoil that, but if you understand that section, it is literally a huge homage to that movie. So Angela and Pablo are stuck in this room, this like disgusting, decrepit filled room. All sorts of paraphernalia, jars of just grotesque samples of I don't know what. Might have to taste test a couple of those. Ominous like clippings of demonic possession. Of course, we realize that this is now a demonic entity or something that's just infecting people. And out of literal nowhere comes this shadowy figure of like a malformed creature. You guessed it, the possessed girl, who is just roaming the apartment, hunting them in pitch black darkness. The only thing they have to see is the camera and its night vision mode. We're in the final stretch now, and Angela and Pablo are literally trying to escape. The creature, aka the possessed girl, attacks, and poor Pablo drops the camera in the scuffle. And the most pivotal moment, and I have to say the pivotal moment in this movie, is the camera's on the floor and it captures Angela being dragged by something in the darkness. And this, you already know it's the possessed girl, but Angela is just dragged screaming into the darkness. However, it is the moment that she disappears into the darkness that you're left with absolute silence and just white noise, and you're peering into the abyss, essentially. And of course, the next thing you know, the credits are rolling by, and you realize you've been holding your breath for the last few minutes. It is not just a movie, it is an absolute experience to watch. 2007's Rec, or Record, takes direct inspiration from George A. Romero and his zombie classics. It's literally a love letter. Of course, they flip the script a little bit and they blend in some demonic possession twists to it, mixing genres. It brings me a sinister smile just to hear that. Now, however, in the States, if you're thinking, hey, wait a minute, I think I've seen this movie before, you're probably thinking about Quarantine. Quarantine is a 2008 Hollywood remake of Record, whatever you want to call it. The remake has its merits, but you could ask any horror fan out there, the Spanish original is unmatched. The reason Record does so good is that the directors, Balagueró and Plaza, were obsessed with immersing the audience in the action. You weren't just watching, you were strapped into that camera and along for the ride. Of course, the best way to push that forward was in found footage style. Now, the most important part about that is the camera work. That's all thanks to Pablo Rosso, which is the one doing the handheld camera. Y'all remember Pablo? Another thing to note about this movie is the sound design. It is on point, and it should deserve some applause as well. Every creak, growl, and echo was just adjusted and manipulated and crafted to keep you on the edge of your fucking seat. A lot of the noises in this movie were just created by manipulating animal sounds. So that demonic screech you heard, well, it's probably courtesy of some unsettled farm animal that didn't want to be recorded and just wanted to eat hay. It's okay, Betsy, we're gonna leave you alone. We just want you to move for us a little bit. So it was also important for Plaza and Balagueró to understand their budgetary concerns. And the best way for them to do that was maybe cast lesser known actors for the specific roles. But this does two things. This makes the movie relatable, removes any kind of preconceptions, and just makes it feel believable. Unlike, hiring Robert Downey Jr. to jump in on this. So there you have it. This isn't just a movie that watches you, it literally traps you in its nightmare. But here's the real question though. Are you brave enough to jump into Rec after learning some of these behind the scenes secrets? Well, let me know in the comments, because something tells me this is not going to be the last time Rec leaves us trembling. Well, that's it for me. And remember, in my world, curiosity didn't just kill the cat. The cat actually just got locked in a dark, demon-infested building. But until next time, Tantrum signing out.